What's up, guys? Kyle with Draft Beer Dispense. Today, talking about the Primary Regulator. So, anyways, just want to quickly talk about the different gauges, how these guys work, how to use them. But starting off, some of these primaries actually come like this. This is one from Taprite. But this is a nozzle on the front end that we use to adjust it. And on this guy right here, basically what you want to do is pull it out. And then it can, you can adjust it right clockwise, increases pressure, left decreases pressure. And that's going to actually affect this gauge up here, which actually reads the air pressure, CO2 pressure going into the regulator that it can send downstream. This other gauge right here, the bottom one, it shows different colors. This will tell you where the tank is at on your CO2 cylinder, or a bulk CO2 cylinder, or a bulk CO2 if it's hooked up to it. But that just kind of gives you an idea of where everything's at. One thing to keep in mind is when you hook these up into cylinders, you see this has a seal on it right here. You know, some CO2 cylinder or CO2 regulators don't have the seal. You want to make sure you put one on those before you hook it on up. And then this is your primary hex nut right here. But basically it slides on, you tighten it, and it's nice to have a crescent wrench to tighten that bad boy down. And then this guy right here is your lever. Basically, that is in the on position. This is in the off position, on position, off position. What I like to do is usually when I hook these guys up, keep it in the off position. Basically increase my pressure, get everything set where I need to on my primary gauge. This setting the gas downstream works really well. And where do you set these at? It really depends on the system. You know, if you're just feeding a keg, you know, with one of these guys in there off your CO2 cylinder, obviously you're going to want to set it maybe 10 to 12 psi or whatever your units of carb you're trying to match on. If you're sending a bunch of CO2 downstream to a large commercial beer system, I typically like to set it up at about 80 to 100 psi and then use like secondaries downstream to adjust to a pressure that I see fit for that type of beer. But anyways, just a quick little deal on some primary regulators, how to use them. There are a lot of them out there. This one is by Taprite. It's probably one of the main ones I use. A lot of the commercial projects use some Micromatic ones, but I like this one simply because the gauge pull out, once you pull it out, you can set it, push this back in, you can't adjust it. It's got the color coordinated gauge that talks about like where you're at on your CO2, how full you are in your tank when you need to order one. And this guy right here, remember, shows you the pressure that you're sending downstream. So anyways, hopefully you enjoyed that, and we'll talk soon. Cheers.